Hey, so this is my final report. It's titled Flint Water Crisis, Engineering Decisions and Failures, and it's an informational report by myself, Donze, for WRD 204. So the purpose of my report was to educate students in CE 461, Water Resource Engineering, on the crisis. So ethically, what will happen if engineers do not live up to the ethical code? So this is especially important for water resource engineers because they have such a wide spanning range for their career, and they are tasked with supplying water resources and getting water from the supply to the consumer. So report will help show what happens if engineers are not consulted during the process in any application of engineering, whether it's for city officials going on based off of financial decisions, or if it's city officials going based off of scientists and not consulting engineers. Engineers are a crucial part of the process. And this report will also show the gravity of the decisions that engineers make on the community. So the audience is the students in CE 461G, which is titled Water Resource Engineering. This will show how the course relates to real-world applications. Especially in water resources, this is a real-life application, and as you could have seen, it was all over the news, and it was a good crisis, and it even is a problem up to today. So it shows how this course integrates with water resources and that core CE 461G. So the little bit background on the Flint water crisis: Flint, Michigan was put under state control in 2013 due to a $25 million budget shortfall. This was given by the National Institute of Health. I get a lot of my research from the National Institute of Health and other academic and peer-reviewed journals. So historically, the city of Flint had purchased treated water from Detroit. This was just a way for them to get water to their community. They didn't treat their own water. They bought treated water from the city of Detroit and transmitted it across their city. But unfortunately, looking to cut costs, state officials, since they were in control of the district from now on, explored the idea of sourcing water from the Flint River. The city of Flint would have its own operational treatment plant treating the Flint River and distributing water across its network. The Flint River did have a history of pollution, according to the National Institute of Health. Historically, there were auto plants up and down the Flint River, as well as wastewater plants that discharged water into the system. So it had a high amount of corrosiveness in the water and metals. So the treatment process would have to treat both bacteria and corrosivity within the water itself. So the city of Flint had the lead pipes throughout the city. Historically, a lot of districts use lead pipes to distribute the water. So workers at the plant stated that the treatment process would not be ready by the deadline at the Flint treatment plant, according to the National Institute of Health. And the state went ahead with the switch due to financial struggles. So far, completed work in my project have been the letter of transmittal, the executive summary, introduction, background, methodology, and discussion. So secondary sources were the main source of information for this report. For the research methodology that I use. For background, I use a lot of peer-reviewed journals from both academic sources and federal agencies. There are a lot of good federal sources that I use, such as the Health and Human Services Public Access, as well as the National Institute of Health. There's a lot of information on this topic. So findings: the engineering design firm did not live up to the code of ethics. There's a special code that says engineers have a duty to the public welfare. So there was not a proper water treatment protocol followed by the design firm. So corrosivity in the water was not controlled. This led to a degradation of lead piping network, according to the University of Michigan. Lead ended up in the bloodstream of approximately 30 residents in Flint, according to Schultz of the Time magazine. The response to the crisis was inadequate. They looked to flush the system to get rid of the current system's byproducts, but they didn't control corrosiveness, which was going on at the plant itself and throughout the network, according to the University of Michigan. So the public health of the community was permanently harmed due to this issue. So lead poisoning, there's a lot of lead in the water itself, and lead caused a lot of developmental issues such as learning disorders in children, and leads to a lower fertility rate. So as you can see, here's Flint's birth rate compared to other cities within Michigan. So you can see how it caused such a problem within the community itself. So here's an example of the hydrant flushing within Flint. Analysis: the engineering design firm should have blown the whistle on the lack of corrosion control. As you can see here, they didn't control it. They just they notified the city officials that there was no corrosion control and there could be damage. The city said, we don't care. You can go ahead with what you're contracted to do. And they just went ahead and did it. They didn't notify any outside enterprises such as the APA or anything like that. And according to the Code of Ethics, engineers have a duty to protect the public welfare, and they totally disregard this in their response or in the design. In responding to the crisis, engineers should have taken a long-term fix rather than just flushing the system. So engineers have the ability to permanently affect lives, and decision-making must be taken into account all stakeholders, including public. No process should be rushed, and engineering firms should look at realistic timelines for completion. So results: work to be completed. I still have to do the results. I still have to revise my paper, look at the peer reviews, and submit the final draft. So if you have feedback, if you have any questions or want to know anything, just feel free to email me at jonah.donze@uky.edu. And here's a little bit more works cited. As you can see, I got a lot of information from the National Institutes of Health and University of Michigan and other academic sources.